Welcome to the Crop Insurance Podcast, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of crop insurance. I'm your host, Mike Rydell, a third-generation crop insurance agent, and I'm thrilled to have you join me on this educational journey. At our family-owned and operated business, we've been providing crop insurance expertise for generations. Our goal here is simple, to educate our listeners. Crop insurance can be complex and overwhelming, but I believe that understanding it is crucial for every farmer. So whether you're a seasoned farmer looking to stay updated or a newcomer seeking guidance, this podcast is for you. In today's episode, we're going to be talking about yield protection and revenue protection. Be sure to check out our website where we have a table that shows you which crops are available in which states for revenue protection and yield protection. Now that we've laid the groundwork with the fundamentals of crop insurance, let's dive into how it translates into coverage. We'll be talking about yield protection and revenue protection, and understanding the nuances of these programs is key to selecting the right coverage for your farming operation. To help clarify the distinctions between yield protection and revenue protection, let's establish a set of assumptions. By utilizing these assumptions, we can look at the loss calculations to gain a clearer understanding of how the losses play out under each program. So for the assumptions, let's use Cascade County in Montana. Let's use winter wheat. The APH is going to be 50 bushels an acre. The coverage level is 70%. And the projected price is $8.77 a bushel. So in yield protection, you don't convert anything into dollars until the very end of the loss. So yield protection is very simple. You're going to take your APH times your coverage level. So you have an APH of 50 times a coverage level of 70%. Your guarantee under yield protection is 35 bushels an acre. So you either cut less than 35 bushels an acre to have a loss, or you don't. Very straightforward. Under revenue protection, the big difference is you convert everything to dollars. And so initially, at the start of the insurance period, we're going to use the projected price to determine our guarantee. So at the very beginning, the guarantee is going to be your APH times your coverage level times your projected price. So 50 bushels an acre times 70% coverage level times $8.77. So that's $306.95 per acre is your guarantee. The important thing to understand with revenue protection is that your guarantee is going to use either the projected price or the harvest price to determine your final guarantee. And how do you decide which one to use? Well, revenue protection will always use the higher of the two. So if the harvest price goes up, your guarantee goes up. The benefit to this is you get more coverage if the price of your commodity goes higher. And the other benefit is your premium does not change. We'll go over what happens when the price goes up and when the price goes down in terms of a loss scenario, but that's how it works. So let's look at the first loss scenario where the harvest price goes down. So let's start with the assumption that our farmer harvested 30 bushels an acre and the harvest price is $7.77. Well, under yield protection, the only thing we need to worry about is 30 bushels per acre of production less than 35 bushels an acre production. And the answer is yes, it's 5 bushels. So they had a 5 bushel per acre loss, and now we're going to multiply that times the projected price of $8.77, and they have a loss of $43.85 an acre. Because again, yield protection, we don't use the harvest price, just the projected price. So you're only covered if there's a loss in yield. Now, if you go to revenue protection, we first look at our guarantee of $306.95 because we don't change our guarantee when the harvest price goes down because we use the higher of projected price or harvest price. So they're going to keep that high guarantee of $306. Now we're going to take the production and we always multiply the production times the harvest price when it comes to revenue protection. Whether it goes up or down, you always multiply it by the harvest price. So we're going to take 30 bushels an acre times $7.77. You now have $233.10 an acre. So you're going to take the guarantee of $306.95 minus the $233.10. You have a loss of $73.85 an acre. So when you compare the two, because that price went down, your yield protection loss was unaffected by that decline in price. That loss was $43 an acre. And your revenue protection loss was $73 an acre. And that's because you're being compensated for that decline in price. Let's look at another loss scenario. Let's say that the revenue declines, but they harvest right at their APH times coverage level. So they had that 35 bushel per acre guarantee under yield protection. And let's say that they harvest 35 bushels, but the harvest price is at $7.77. Well, under yield protection, there's going to be no loss because 35 bushels an acre is the bushels per acre guarantee. They harvested 35 bushels an acre. There's zero loss there. But under revenue protection, again, you're keeping that guarantee at the higher of projected price or the harvest price, so it stays at the $306.95. But now you're taking 35 bushels an acre times $7.77. You get $233.10 an acre. You have a loss of $35 an acre. Because that price declined under yield protection, you did not have a loss because you cut out your guarantee. In the revenue protection side of things, you did because you're being compensated for that decline in revenue. The other thing to keep in mind is if the price falls low enough, you could, in theory, cut at or above your APH times coverage level and still collect a loss under revenue protection. It just depends how the math plays out. Let's look at another scenario. Let's say the harvest price goes up. Let's go back to the 30 bushels an acre harvest, and let's say the harvest price goes from $8.77 up to $9.77. Well, on yield protection, our loss doesn't change as it did in the first scenario. You have 35 bushel guarantee, 30 bushels were cut, you have 5 bushel loss times the projected price, so you still got that $43.85 loss. Nothing changes there. On the revenue protection side of things, you now have to adjust your guarantee. You're going to take your APH times coverage level times the higher of harvest price or projected price. Well, now the harvest price is higher at $9.77 versus $8.77. So now we're going to use that $9.77. So now our guarantee goes up from $306.95 to $341.95. And again, our premium does not change. It stays where it's at. But our guarantee went up because the price went up. So now we're going to take the production. And if you remember, you always take production times harvest price when you have revenue protection. So that 30 bushels an acre times the $9.77, you're going to have a $293.10 per acre production value. So your loss is going to be $48.85. So when you compare when the price goes up, yeah, yield protection, your loss stayed the same at $43.85, but your revenue protection loss actually went up to $48.85. Now again, it went up because your guarantee went up. So you can see how if the price goes down, you benefit from revenue protection. If the price goes up, you benefit from revenue protection in a loss scenario. The last scenario to look at is what if the harvest price stays the same as the projected price? There's no change in price. I've been in crop insurance for over 22 years. I have never seen the harvest price and the projected price remain the same. In theory, it could happen. So what happens if the prices remain the same? Well, essentially nothing changes. Your yield protection loss is going to be the same if they cut 30 bushels an acre, and your revenue protection loss is going to be the same. So you're going to collect $43.85 on both of those loss scenarios because they're exactly the same. There's no change in price, so you're not multiplying bushels produced times a different dollar amount, or your guarantee's not going up or down, anything like that. So the loss is going to pay out the same in that scenario. I have never seen that scenario, but it absolutely could happen. You're probably asking yourself, then why would you not buy revenue protection all the time? I would agree with you. I don't know why you would not buy it all the time. The only reason people don't is either one, they don't know about it or don't understand how it works, or two, the premium is a little bit more expensive because you're dealing with the price changes and the price volatility factors that dictate what your rate's going to be. And so they're afraid of that higher premium. But at the end of the day, Mother Nature is not the only peril that our farmers are fighting against. The global marketplace and the dramatic changes in prices is something that our farmers are also fighting, and they need protection against it. And that's where revenue protection comes in when available for your crop in your area. And that's why revenue protection is a better tool to help you mitigate your risk. From my family to yours, thank you very much for listening. I sincerely hope that this presentation has been instrumental in enhancing your understanding of federal crop insurance. If you find value in our podcast, we kindly encourage you to subscribe and spread the word among your friends and neighbors. To access further information, please visit our website at thecropinsurancepodcast.com, where you'll find the latest podcast episodes, articles, and exciting new features conveniently located in one place. This information is not all-inclusive and is meant to be used only as general guidelines for educational purposes. For additional information, please see crop provisions, reference the Crop Insurance Handbook or Loss Adjustment Manual, or contact your crop insurance agent. This institution is an equal opportunity provider and employer.